Welcome to Drinking from the Fire Hose. I'm Roger Wilcox and I'm co-hosting this series with Murray McMillan, who you'll see shortly. This 10-minute video is aimed at equipping managers to improve their team's performance, and the focus of this video is visibly driving performance using huddles and war rooms. We're going to give you some practical tips to make your team's performance more visible, and at the end of the video we'll leave you with an activation, so enabling you to immediately put into practice what you've heard. So what's the goal? The goal is for leaders to regularly align everyone in their team around what needs to be done to hit the team's goals and to achieve the team vision, and to do this in a visual and engaging way using huddles and war rooms, which we'll explain later. So why? Well, firstly, great performing teams know where they're heading, what each individual is doing, and how to support each other. So I love watching American football, and it's very much like that. So when you watch professional American football, it's very clear that they've practiced, they've played together, they know each other's strengths and weaknesses, they've got a shared vision, and they know what moves each player needs to make to advance the ball. We want teams to have the same level of engagement and collaboration that are taken for granted in professional sports teams. So why else is it important to regularly align everyone in a visual and engaging way? Well, leaders, if you regularly align everyone in your team, you're much more likely to achieve the results you want. People deliver great results when they get regular feedback on how they're doing, and daily huddles give leaders the opportunity to do this. Making performance visible enables quick course corrections to be made. So if you're off target, you can quickly identify what can we do to get back on target. So over to Murray for a few more.
Okay, thank you, Roger. Yeah, I mean, a few other whys in there is I think it genuinely helps team members feel empowered to contribute, and it motivates them. I think if you're involved in that huddle or the war room concept, you've got a degree of ownership in there, which is typically motivating. And as you say, it helps ensure that you're bought into the plan and any changes and updates to that. One of the things I really like about the whole concept is it means that all the issues and problems and things that you're working on are very visible. So it's very easy to ensure that the whole team is bought into that and aware of what things are, and again have a degree of ownership in there, which helps make sure they are proactively responding all the time to drive that forward. And I guess another key thing, depending how you've got your huddle or your war room set up, is you've got confidence that the information you've got is bang up to date. It's all the relevant, up to date information that everybody's working from, and everybody's working from the same sheet essentially, because it's the same set of information in one place. So yeah, very, very powerful concept and works very well. So moving on to, I guess, to the current performance, where are we just now and what are we doing? I guess, let's assume for a minute you do have huddles or you do have some kind of war room. I guess the key thing there is how engaged are your team in the concept? Is it working for you? Are they engaged in driving this forward? Or are there bits that need to change about it? Because I guess, like everything else we've discussed over the weeks in these videos, you may not get this right first time.
Yeah. So
keeping that constantly improving, constantly developing is fairly key. And the very nature of the huddle and the war room is get their thoughts and ideas to improve it and drive it forward. Again, is the information being shared, is it consistent with the team goals and vision? We spoke about vision a few weeks ago. Vision should be up there. It should be up on the wall somewhere. It should be sort of fairly core to what you're doing. But it's also a good sense check. Are the actions and the things that we're driving forward, is it linked to this? Is it supporting the vision and the goals that we've got? And can people point to where they contribute? One of the things I really like about a war room concept is you can literally point to it. The information's on the wall, you can go over and you can point at it, it's there, it's a very real thing. So I think that's a key part. Everybody, it's a place to go where you can see all the up-to-date information, where you participate in this and how you help drive towards that vision. How about you, Roger? Any more thoughts on that?
I think that's really good. Just assessing performance. I think those are the ones. Are they visible, etc. So I guess we can move on to how to achieve the goal. What I'd say is, for a huddle, for those of you who don't know, is simply getting together with your team members around an information board. Murray will talk more about what a war room is, but it could be as simple as standing there with your team, looking at the key information. So making sure that the right information is visible is key. So as team leaders, what I encourage you to do is to involve your team in designing the information board. Make sure that you've got key information on there that's important to the team. As Murray said, it's definitely important to have your vision displayed in a very clear way so that everybody's engaged with that and they understand where they're trying to get to. And similarly, your strategic goals that that is leading, that you're moving up towards, that you achieve your strategic goals to achieve your vision. Key performance indicators, we all talk about them, but it's very important to have those visual. I like to make sure that they're very graphical, that you can actually see a trend and see where you're behind target or ahead of target. Things like identifying what are the problems your team are facing and what are the priorities that your team have. Another thing I like to see on an information board is what's the team well-being. So you can really see, are people, do they have smiley faces that they're feeling good today, they're feeling positive about themselves, they're not overloaded, or do you have very frowny faces where the people are feeling stretched and not able to deliver without support. So it's very good having that kind of information on the screens. So making it very visually stimulating. I'll pass over to Murray at this point. Any other thoughts on how to achieve the goal?
Yeah, I guess you mentioned the war room concept in there, Roger. For me, it's something we've used a lot, and it's typically a specific room, usually a meeting room, tied to an asset or a part of your operation, where you can have all that relevant information up, and it's your go-to place, quite often used over the years for a specific campaign. Maybe it's a turnaround, or maybe it's a big piece of work focused on, sort of a few months of effort, drilling a well, for example. So having that specific room is great. We actually ended up using them all the time. So it was the go-to place for the asset and all the key information was there. And just going back to one of your points about making it visually stimulating, some of that can be really, really easy. Just even the colored pens you're using. So it's really obvious if it's important or if it's under control. Stickers, smiley faces, all that sort of stuff. Just make it, I think, easy for people to walk into the room and see almost at a glance what the situation is and what the priorities are. So there's a whole, very simple things, but tricks in there. Just use everything at your disposal to make it easy to walk in and understand. And I guess the two-way dialogue. I mean, we've had war rooms in the past where we've actually had a series of panels in the war room up in the wall, and you have somebody that owns one of those panels. So that person is the person that will discuss it. That's your go-to person. So maybe it's the HSC, maybe it's production, maybe it's planning. So that also helps, that two-way dialogue. It helps make sure that that person has a degree of ownership and is explaining to the rest of the team the status at the moment and what their priorities are. So that's something we'll maybe talk about more in the long version. But good concept and good to do. So I guess maybe just over to you, Roger, for some activations.
Yeah, thanks, Murray. So in the longer version, as you said, we're going to focus more on how to achieve the goal. How do you get those visible huddles and war rooms? How do you visibly drive performance? That'll be in the longer version. There'll be a link in the comments. We're also going to talk about some of the observable behaviors you should be able to see. What we said, we'd like to end each video with an activation. So the activation for you guys is go out today and ask each team member, what are the top 5 priorities of your team over the next week? Go out and just speak to everybody. Do they all come back and consistently, can they actually say, yeah, this is exactly what my top priorities are, my top 5 priorities for the team. This is what we're all focused on delivering. Just get that sense check. If you're not at that place, then probably a huddle or a war room is definitely for you to ensure that people are focused on that. Also, review your information board. Is it consistent with your vision and your strategic goals? Have a look at your KPIs. Are they all delivering up towards that vision? So go and check those. And what we'd like you to do is just go do it, and then get back to us. Give us any comments in the comments just on how you've got on. And Murray, any other thoughts on how we can provide support to people?
Yeah, and again, we'll probably cover more of this in the full version, Roger. But because it's so visual, I mean, you and I both worked with huddles and war rooms a lot over the years. So actually, I know we both have a lot of examples of what's been used in the past. So if you want to see some examples, we're more than happy to share those with you and talk you through it. Maybe a little bit of inspiration to get you going.